segment, we'll hear from a decorated American soldier who knows a lot about communist infiltration and takeover tactics and terminology. Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin was one of the original members of the U.S. Army's Delta Force. He commanded all the Green Berets as well as the Special Warfare Center and School. He served a tour with the CIA, and later in his career, he served as Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. He is the author of the book Never Surrender, and he's the co-founder of Kingdom Warriors. His websites are jerryboykin.com and kingdomwarriors.net. General Boykin, glad to have you back on True News. I'm concerned, General, that regardless of what happens in the election, Mr. Obama, between November and January, may create a scene in this country that he has the justification to declare martial law.
Well, I think that's a very real possibility, and I will be very honest with you. The situation in America could be such that martial law is actually warranted, and that situation, in my view, could occur if we have an economic collapse. Now, this is, the dam is just about to break on our economy, and I think when it does, there's going to be a major disruption of the distribution of food. And I think what you'll see, particularly in the inner cities, is you will see a riotous, civil unrest that ultimately might justify martial law. I think those people that are not in the major cities are going to be far better off, but it could actually justify martial law. And I'm praying that we will not see that kind of collapse. We will not see a disruption of the distribution of food in America. That's probably the single biggest problem. If people can eat, they can survive for some period of time while we, get through the economic crisis and, reestablish currency and systems and all that. But if they can't eat, they're going to fight, and that's my big concern.
That's right. And when your buddies are members of the Nation of Islam or the Black Panther Party or any other, Occupy Wall Street, it only takes a few phone calls to stir trouble.
Well, that's exactly right, and this.
So going back to this, the possibility, and it's a real possibility of an economic crisis because of what's happening in Europe right now. If the European banks go under sometime after September 12, seems to be the crunch time for a lot of things in Europe. If the European banking system collapses and it moves across the Atlantic into the United States in October, and all indication is, Israel's going to war with Iran sometime October, November, and if we have blowback here in the United States through Hezbollah or other sleeper cells, as you say, those kind of circumstances would warrant martial law. So here's the problem, General. We're going to be playing right into Obama's hands because he's going to say, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to restore order. So what are people like you and I going to do when Mr. Obama has declared martial law?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think it's a matter of us playing into his hands. I think it's a matter of he and quite frankly, the previous administration as well have brought about this situation. Now, I think the previous administration, it was just malfeasance, and this administration, it's very deliberate to bring about that kind of situation. But what are we going to do? And I would tell you that for me, I have 3 months of food stored. I have lots of other essentials that I have stored in my home, and my wife and I are preparing for this. Now, a lot of people call us, foolish for that kind of attitude, but I would tell you that I'm not going to be unprepared, and I think people need to be prepared now for some disruption. This economic collapse is a very strong possibility, and we need to get ready for it, and we need to be thinking through and developing plans for how we're going to react.
Well, I would say to any scoffers that if I heard a retired lieutenant general who was one of the original members of Delta Force commanded the Green Berets and was Deputy Undersecretary of Military Intelligence, say that he was preparing and storing food, I would take that as a real serious warning. I wouldn't dismiss that kind of advice. And I think, General, you're doing what the vast majority of our radio audience has done. They are preparing for this.
Are you ready? Do you have what it takes to not only survive hard times, but also thrive in them? In times like these, the most valuable currency we have is food and food reserves. It is more precious than gold, oil, and cash. Food is our greatest dependency, because when you're hungry, nothing else matters. You know it, and I know it. You can't control earthquakes, floods, or the real estate meltdown. But if you have food, you have personal solutions to how these things affect you. Register right here, right now, and order your 6 free meals so you can truly discover what the currency of the future and your freedom taste like.